Let's f***ing roll. All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome to the Bastard Studio here in FOCO, USA. You're listening to the SaltyMF GOAT Podcast. I'm really excited about this podcast today. This podcast is dedicated to all our friends, family, business partners that are gone and passed and were affected by addiction. So today's guest is the founder of Vision Warriors, a guy named Kirk Driskell. We're really happy to have him. He's going to talk a little bit about addiction, some of the things that you go through, some of the ways to get around it, and live an epic life day by day. So, Kirk, welcome to the show, brother.
Man. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, no worries, man.
We were just talking beforehand, so hopefully I won't have that addictive cough here this afternoon. So maybe if I can keep the cough drops from falling out of my mouth
it's all good,
and infecting your mic here.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll wash it off.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, you and I met. You were gracious enough. You have a podcast called Cattywampus. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it was more around kind of how your life goes askew and, what brings you back. But really, you were gracious enough to have me on that show and talk about some adoption type things, not addiction, but adoption things that I gone through. But, when I learned more about Vision Warriors and what you were doing, and I've had several life circumstances where most everyone has. They've been affected by addiction to some point. Yeah. Could be a family member, a friend, a relative. So it's kind of the taboo that no one really talks about in my mind. And going through that with friends and partners and other people that I know, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be in the forefront. It needs to be, brought out so that other people that are going through that process, either as someone who's addicted or a family member, can find some peace or maybe some good ideas to how to right the ship and get back to living a really good life. So I know that you've had some experience with that, and we're really blessed to have you here and kind of walk through some of the things that you went through and what you do at Vision Warriors, and it's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, no, it's cool to be here, and I can talk about this all day long.
Oh, I know.
So we'll keep it within your time frame there, but there's 1,000 different directions that we could ever go in that without a doubt. But obviously, to just high level, I'm a person in long-term recovery. As I haven't been around recovery. My sobriety date's April 24th, 1995. And so haven't put a drug or drink in my body since then. I made plenty of freaking stupid ass mistakes. Okay. So
everybody does.
So just getting sober doesn't mean I'm not going to be occasionally be, inappropriate and selfish and,
you're in the right place with SaltyMF.
Perfect. So basically what I'm saying is occasionally I still act like a dick. Okay. So if we do there, now I can say that on your show.
Exactly.
Perfect. Hopefully I can say it on your show. Yeah. So if not, they can edit it out. But,
no editing.
But needless to say, that's making that decision's one thing to say, I'm going to stop that. But then the struggle is no different than yours. We got to live life on life's terms.
Right.
Now, how are we going to navigate through life and where are my blind spots and my deficiencies and what I have? And most of us that are in recovery from drugs or alcohol have some pretty similar deficiencies and character defects that drives down through there outside of a spiritual condition on top of it. But just in that, it's like, how do you navigate life on life's terms? And I was having lunch with a buddy today, and he was on podcast earlier, and we were talking about it. And it's like, life's going to not always be, roses, right? You're going to have tough days, tough weeks, tough years.
Right.
But we can't control what happens to us.
Right.
But we can control how we respond, what's happening to us.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's tough. It's tough. And it's a whole lot harder when it's happening to someone you love, right?
Right.
And it's like, man, why don't they just quit? Like, just quit doing that. Why are you're choosing to do that? Quit choosing that. So,
yeah, and I think, I've been several people very close to me. I won't mention who they are, just out of respect for the families and friendship and whatever. But I was with one as an example from the time I knew this person, they were an alcoholic. So I never saw them like not. And then towards the end of the life, and this is a long, long friendship, 30 years, they stopped. very near the end, right? Yeah. And they, unfortunately, enough damage was done, even a decade later, that it got them. And then another one that never was like that, and then ended up, crashing at the end. And I was trying to always reflect back, like, what is it? I mean, these were very successful guys. They're, I didn't know of much trauma they had. Maybe they had, I don't know. Maybe I didn't know about it. But, what is it? Because it impacts men and women and, young kids and old people. It doesn't discriminate across gender or age. And, this, what is it that makes you kind of want to, you're self-destructing.
Yeah.
There's no way
to put it. You think about it this way. Addiction is your willingness, or would be my willingness, to give up everything for one thing.
Right.
And then to gain everything, all I have to do is give up one thing. Yep. And it seems that on the outside, it's like, well, man, that's real simple. Like, are you an idiot? Like, what? Why are you doing this?
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's because it's and then you put all the emotion of it. Let's put it. You put someone in relationship with you, whether close, family, friends, whatever. The person that's addicted, yes, they're destroying their life and their active addiction, but they're destroying everything around them.
Yeah.
So the emotion, the pain, the destruction, and all that, man, just quit being that way. Like, why are you choosing that for kids or wives or loved ones? Like, you're choosing that over me.
Right.
It's there. And, so over the years, I would say, and I'm not a professional. I'm just a dude, right, that's been in the trenches, serving, loving on, and leading guys and following those that are ahead of me, right? Simply giving away what's been given to me, because that's the only way I can keep what I got, right? Is give it away daily, is what I was taught. Yeah. And so over the years, though, I've seen, especially you come through COVID, you got a lot of situational use.
Yeah.
They may have an addiction or dependencies that have grown out of isolation or grown out of situational awareness, and that's something that can be changed differently. They're making a decision, they change some patterns and they stop, then go back and have a beer, maybe here or there, right? And you've got people that maybe have some mental health and depression and anxiety or something that pushes there for comfort.
Right.
But for those that are a hopeless variety, like a hopeless alcoholic or a hopeless addict, is like, it would seem almost seamlessly hope that there's no way out, right? Like you can't physically do anything. You had to surrender to that fact that, man, I can't touch it. If I touch it, the obsession takes over. Like I'm having a drink, man, and I was saying a long
like 10,423 days.
So I don't know if it's that exact. Are you that good at math? Or
no, I just remember. I read something about your 10,000th day, and I figured it was a year and something. So,
So when you look at it in there, I can still though feel the alcohol going down my throat and hitting my belly, and it like you absorbing. Like I can feel it. That's if I sit there and think about it, I'm not going to obsess about it anymore. But if as we're sitting here talking about it, there's those things, and something happens in someone's body like mine.
Yeah, chemical.
It's completely there when it hits my lips or is injected into my body. While you may be able to still make rational decisions. Throughout the evening, my ability to make anything irrational for there, I'm off to the races. The obsession has kicked in, and dude, I'm done. It's done for, and it's no, man, I got a great family. There's no childhood trauma that caused it. It was me, my decisions, my wiring, and how I coped with life, and this is what developed because of my makeup, so to speak.
Well, and it's not alcohol. It's opioids, right? I can get that out of my mouth. It's a tough word for me to say, but it's not just that. I mean, it's also pharmaceutical drugs that's becoming even worse or equivalent to alcohol. So it's not just alcohol. I mean, it's legal drugs that are prescribed, and then illegal drugs, fentanyl, things like that people are, dabbling with, which is not very smart, by the way. Stay away from it. But I think it's so broad now. from a societal perspective, I think we're taught in the drinking side. I get it because, you grow up, you're in high school, you're drinking beers with the kids around the fire, whatever. Then you go to college and socializing and drinking is really so much of a collegiate atmosphere that I see a lot of people that I know that maybe were alcoholics, but like they could never let that side go. Like, they got to have a drink in their hand, and they may not be alcoholics, but they got to have a drink and they got to socialize. So really culturally, I think a lot of this is kind of propagated, how bad it is now because of, that acceptance.
You look at, if we just be straightforward and honest, if somebody's a workaholic, like if they are 100% obsessed with work, about the only person you ever hear complain is their spouse and occasionally their kids.
Yeah.
No one in their office is complaining.
Yeah.
Their boss, their shareholders, whoever is not complaining because they're out there just killing it every day.
Yep.
Hugely successful and providing opportunity for others. No one's complaining. You take a lot of kind of locker room kind of chatter.
Yeah.
Like how many, let's just go back to a collegiate type kind of deal. Okay, well, hey, I saw her on Tuesday night. I saw her on Wednesday night. I'm going out with her on Friday night, trying to catch this one on Sunday, right? Very few guys are going to sit there and log in like, dude, well, you're a piece of shit, man. You shouldn't be like that. Yeah. They may be thinking that.
Right.
Their moral compass, their faith, their belief may be telling them, man, I need to say something. But before they're going to get it out, 2 or 3 is like, man, I can't. It's that attaboy and way to go. And do it. So when you look on that consumption and then drinking, I think is about the same way. A lot of it's overlooked until it's to the point to where if you're a functioning alcoholic, most of them are like, man, he drinks a lot. He gets everything done, but he's going to show up at work tomorrow morning. And functional alcoholics pretty much tolerated in this country, I think.
Yeah, I think 100%. I know. A lot of people that they drink 12 beers a night, like you're like, dude,
it's like, what are you doing?
I'd be like being goofy, taking my shorts off, jumping off the porch, or doing something stupid. Like you talked about that switch, but I think alcohol is accepted. Obviously, marijuana, becoming more kind of culturally accepted, but those, some of these drugs are like, you try them once. I got on Percocet after an operation one time, and. I got to the point where I was just kind of dropping my wife when I drool on myself to go to sleep because I was in pain. She finally threw them away. So thanks, honey. I appreciate that. Yeah. But so it's definitely some of this is being, it's being propagated. 100%.
Without a doubt. And that's where I think we've had more conversations and more awareness. And there again, it's a lot of it because we're burying a lot of young white kids.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's happening. A bunch of young white suburban kids are dying. And getting buried, and it's brought a lot of awareness more so than if it was other demographics. And more, it's when you think someone's overdosed and dying, you're not thinking, 16, 17, 18-year-old white kids in Alpharetta and Johns Creek and all the other markets like that across America. But, it's...
Well, culturally, I can tell you why I think that's going on.
Why do you think it is?
Well, I think society's moved to like the new 50 is 30 and the new 40 is 25. We've as a society become more materialistic, more about ourselves, more whatever, and versus the old days of whether it's right or wrong to parent that way or whatever. It's not really discussing that. But at the end of the day, a lot of parents, not all parents, they're not around. They're not disciplining their kid. They're giving their kids everything they want. So these kids don't know what no means, or they don't necessarily say, well, that's why if I'm watching my mom pop pills every night and drink 2 bottles of wine,
then why shouldn't I?
So setting an example, we're going off into cultural things now, but setting an example, society is about self now. It's about selfishness and what I can get and who's screwing me and poor me. And I truly believe that as a whole. Now, some of that may be good because you're freeing and you've become independent or whatever. That's all great. But I'm going to go back to more of the addiction side and talk really about like some steps that, you talked about someone who's a hopeless addict.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to say, hey, there's no hope out there for anyone, because the reality of it is you can find something other than yourself, God, whatever it is. And I feel that if you have the discipline and you put that first, you can create the greatest comeback story of your life. So I don't think anything is finite. You're never down a path where you can't change. You can wake up tomorrow and be anything different you want. But I will say, being around what I would call, the hopeless addict, the things that I watch, and these are smart, like these are not like these are smart people.
It happens to the brightest of bright.
They're not like you think, oh, that guy was, he didn't have a family, whatever. And I watch them and I see what they're doing and I see what they have. And to be honest with you, the only thing I could do was give them respect, be there for them, and be their friend, and let them know I love them. Because nothing I was going to do, nothing I was going to say, changed that path. So I think we also have to be honest about that too. Like you can't just say, oh, well, shit, you got to want to live.
Yeah, if you don't want it, I mean, here's the thing. You piss off a whole bunch of people when you say this, but
piss them off. It's SaltyMF GOAT Podcast. If you don't like it, don't listen to it.
You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to quit drinking or drugging. Now, there's clinical and emotional needs, and there needs to be clinical help for some. This is not a one size fits all.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I don't care who you are or what's going on here. If you don't want to quit drinking or drugging, it doesn't matter what you spend or what you do or anything for that person or that person does. It's a waste of time, energy, and effort. Yep. They may hear something that they come back to later, but until they just get to a point to where they know that they can physically do it by themselves, and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they're done, and they completely surrender to that fact. It's all for nothing. You're just blowing hot air. But to get someone off your back, to get probation happy, to get the wife to be happy for a couple weeks, to make your kids, make you think you're not going to show up to graduation drunk or whatever it might be, but it's going to be but for a moment. But anyone that's hopeless, there's hope available. There's a way out. But you got to die to yourself first, realize that I'm not God.
Yeah.
There is someone, doesn't matter what your faith is, just that you're not going to be able to do this by yourself. Right. And
I think, and what, once you've been a bad alcoholic or addicted to drugs, heroin, whatever it is, I mean, the withdrawal process is pretty painful. I mean, you got to go, you're going to have to set your mindset to say, hey.
And some clinical help in a lot of cases to get off.
This is going to suck, right?
Well, and this, you look at just drinking. A good old-fashioned alcoholic is my dude. That's who I can help the best, right? And the reason being I relate, the brain hadn't been completely rewired. I don't know all the psychological neurons, how they fire, but when you start putting all these chemicals in your body,
it's a difference.
And especially when they're being created to fire certain ways, and it's all synthetic, and it's this
depletes your ability to make dopamine. To be happy.
It's jacked up, and then you're a teenager doing it, and so you're emotionally curbed, you're emotionally scarred, and you've been filling your body full of this crap for years. When you come off of it, man, if you just think you're going to quit using today and everything's going to be great tomorrow, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like there is a mental fog, and you can see it on people when it comes through, but there's hope, but it's work. Yeah. And it's day in, and not one person, anybody ever tells you that this is what you got to do, and if you do it this way, everything's going to be good. But if you don't do it this way, man, it ain't going to work for you. They're full of shit.
Yep. I agree.
There's 1,000 ways to do it. I can tell you, though, at the core of all of them, anyone that's successful, where they in recovery, whether they have faith or not faith, they come to some point and realize that they're not in control.
Right.
They got to realize that they're powerless to this, that they cannot do it by themselves. And there's someone, something, some being. It could be just a group of the people that they're with, whatever it is, that can help restore them to sanity. And it's that process through, but you can't do it by yourself.
It's honesty. I think people don't, started this out, like it's taboo. No one wants to just straightforward say, hey, look, you had mentioned something. I remember this from our last podcast when we were talking before. You had talked about an old man that helped you kind of, get in the process, and you were saying, I'm only XYZ. age. I'm a young guy. I got 40 years of drinking. And the
Yep.
guy said, you need to look for the similarities and not the differences.
Without
And
a doubt.
I remember that just sat in my head. And we don't want to think like, oh, well, I'm not an asshole. That guy's an asshole. Or she's a drunk lush. I'm not a drunk lush. Whatever. Like we don't want to be accountable or admit like there. I think admitting in AA, I don't know all the AA 12 steps and everything, but I mean the first step I think is like admitting like
I'm powerless
until you admit it.
When you think about it, you can put it in anything. Like if you look at just at the way you parent your kids, or the way you are a partner with in a business deal, or your spouse, like you got to come to a point to where you realize, okay, I can't control this person or this thing. I'm powerless, right? In this element or whatever. As soon as we relinquish control and we accept this is where we are now, what is the next right thing to do? Right. And if it's that your buddy that's just strung out and you hate it for him, but you try to get him help, it's like, no, man, I don't have a problem. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to love you. I'm going to support you. I'm here. I'm not going to encourage you and celebrate with you in your failure.
Right.
But I'm not, I'm going to guard myself from you. I'm not going to give you my ATM card or my credit cards. Right. But man, I'm still here in your corner. And it's tough, man. It's like people don't want to, I think the greatest freedom is fully, truly being known, right? Being known by another human being, being fully known with no filter. At the same point in time, it takes years and years of practice. For me, anyways, maybe that's just because I'm full of pride and ego, and I don't want anybody to know all my crap, right?
Well, everybody is.
But when I have those guys in my corner that know me for I really am, and all the crazy jacked up stuff that goes on in my head, and I think there's no one else that's going to be like this, man, it's like you're like, dude, that's it. That's what you're worried about, man. That happened to me 3 times before 9 o'clock. Like it's being fully known and accepted for who you are in your wholeness. Man, it's like if anybody's watching this and they don't have that one person, man, go find you that one person that you can trust. I don't care who they are, where they are, what they believe. I don't care what faith they. It doesn't matter. Just somebody that you can bear everything to and be fully accepted. And have that accountability and trust in it, man. It's the most freeing thing in the world, and that's
to that point. I mean, I think I not that I'm an expert on society, but to that point, I mean, friendships are rare, real friendships. I'm talking true friendships. I'm not talking 15,000 people and they call yourself friend. And I mean, it's hard because I don't think people just don't seem to value that as much as they used to value. And that maybe that's all about the selfishness of just kind of the world, me kind of now. But I mean, I would agree 100%. I think the hardest thing that I'm not an expert at all, but like I know certain family members of these people and their kids are affected, their relatives are affected, and I try to tell them, look, you can't control what that person did or does or did or didn't do, and it's not your burden to carry. Like it's not your burden. That's their burden. You have to accept that that's what they're choosing to do, so you can go on and be the whole person you are. Whatever they did is not you. You have to, and that's tough though. I mean, if that was your dad or your mom,
when it's somebody that you love, it's just about impossible. To separate yourself. It's like if you think there's something that you can do, like then it's like, isn't that what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to do whatever I can. And in this side of it is hard. It's really hard because I don't think the world views it. A lot of times they view it as a disorder and a disease that it really is. And look at it as a decision. Someone says they have cancer. It's treated decision. It's treated completely different, right? Even if you have the flu, I was not even go to something life threatening for most, just a simple flu, which could be life threatening. But I'm just saying in general terms, if you have the flu, there's certain things that most people just don't. They're non-negotiable, right? They're just okay. Hey, I'm going to have a fever. I got to do this. They do certain things, and they don't feel judged, and they don't feel condemned. But the difference is, if you get the flu, you're not full of guilt, shame, remorse, and all the other things that are feeding it. If you look on the backside of addiction, it is a dirty, nasty deal. And I had to argue with someone on here to say, oh, he says it's a disease, so we're not. They're idiots. We're not even going to watch them. Yeah. And then on the other side, the guy's like, oh, it's not a disease. It's
Who cares?
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the wrath and destruction of what it calls is freaking destructive.
Yeah. And people are trying to find. I think people are just trying to find. We all want to say, well, there's the problem. We're going to solve it.
Yeah.
And it's an ABC problem. Yeah. Well, it's not. There's Z and Y and X and all this other stuff in there. And that's just human nature. We want to just go say, hey, this is what I think. You fix yourself.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's not. The human mind doesn't work that way.
No.
You know?
It is a deal. You know, it's a day. If someone had told me that I'd have been sober this long, right? If like cumulative days, I'd have said you're full of shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like I had no desire. I was going to do just enough to get my parents off my back. Yeah. I maybe had a drug problem.
Yeah.
I didn't have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a drinking problem. I don't know what y'all are talking about, but I'll go do this, get you off my back and go through. But it's because of the fellowship and the people when I didn't want it, but what I needed to do to keep playing the card. Right. It's like it was genuine happy people. And I was like, damn. Yeah. Like I want what they got, and I actually believe them. Like I believe what this dude. I don't know. The dude looks funny. Yeah. He's old. he might smell. He might have a cane. Whatever it is. But I'm like, dude. Like I want what that guy's got.
That's awesome.
And they're not getting paid to be there.
Yeah.
You said they're around there for the shitty coffee because they don't have nothing else to do and to smoke cigarettes. Whatever it is. But at the end of the day, when someone constantly shows up in your life. Yeah. Invest in your life and then truly calls and asks and wants to be in community in an intimate relationship with you to help you navigate through your pains, your life. Dude, who doesn't want that? Like, I think everybody in the world should work 12-step program. If everybody lived that way, it's just healthy living.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's not really just for alcohol or drugs
anything.
or whatever. I mean, the thing that's I like about it is, you admit kind of what was going on. You addressed it. You say, hey, it's still there sometimes, but I've got other important things. And you did it so much that you started Vision Warriors.
Yeah.
And so I know Vision Warriors is more to help people with housing, short-term, get jobs, build a community, make them feel part of it. And if I didn't do that justice, you let me know.
I mean, the biggest thing there is like, the thing that pisses me off the most, I was going to say don't like, but it's not, it pisses me off, is that someone has a problem, right? Yeah. And it's apparent to everybody other than them. So a family member or loved one, out of fear, spends an exorbitant amount of money to send them to some shithole that people don't really care about them, but it's pretty. Yeah. They feed you good. They got the spa. Good. They got to do all that, and they're going to put you in this therapy. They're going to do this, and they're going to do that, and then hey, stay here for 30 days, 60 days, 2 months, whatever it is,
and then go right back to the life
and then the door opens, and they push you out the door, and don't worry, you're cured. We fixed you. It's like, no, you've just manipulated the situation, and just it's this cyclical deal. And that's not saying all treatment. I'm not saying all treatment. There is a ton of great treatment programs that are inpatient, that are equipping people, meeting mental and clinical and emotional needs. Excellent, right? Yeah. But for the most part, they're playing off of fear, capitalizing on someone's emotional pain, and taking advantage of cash or insurance resources. But so you look at that. So all these guys are getting out, either getting out of jail or getting out of prison or come out of detox, come out of treatment, whatever it might be. And I had the good fortune, I left college, went home, and got a healthy home environment that I could be in with my parents, and then was there just for a moment till I went to stay with my grandmother and grandfather. Yeah. So my grandmother and grandfather in middle Georgia was kind of my vision word. Just safe place, get spiritually fed, get distracted with other things and serving other people, and just kind of get out of my routine. In Vision Warriors, everybody that's there is there by choice. Men vote them in. Right. That it's not a staff person approves everybody. Yeah. You want what we have, prove it that you want what we have, and become a part of the tribe, right? And get voted in. And it's there just because some people don't have a safe place to go, or it may be safe, but she's not ready for him to come home yet. Yeah. Hey, I want you to get some more time under your belt. And so we basically You know, it's like, hey, you go to home, if you've never built anything before in your life, you watch a YouTube video, right?
Yeah.
Go to Home Depot, buy the skill saw and everything that you need to build something.
Yeah.
And then you just go home and you start trying to build it. Man, you're liable to cut damn arm off or
I'm
something.
screwed, dude. I got 10 thumbs anyway.
You know what I'm saying? But something's going to go wrong. Just because you watched the video or had someone tell you about it and now you own it doesn't mean it. So we're basically at a high level for someone just watching, right? Is we're a place for people to start practicing the things and disciplines that they've learned and help put that toolbox, you know, what's in your toolbox, and no one's looks the same and no one does it exactly the same, but it's just helping them put together strategies and systems and a plan for their life moving forward in a safe environment that's going to hold you accountable and demand transparency. So,
well, I know that I know from talking to people that, you know, that's a good thing that you're doing. And it works, and you know it's, you know, you can't save everyone, but you can save the ones that are willing to, you know, step up
without a doubt.
And I mean, I think that's hard to stomach. That
it's not every day's not glorious, without a doubt. But man, it's like when you get to hang out today at lunch with a couple dudes, and one of them is just grateful and he's struggling. Like life's not beautiful right now for him. But drinking and drugging is not a solution.
Well, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
and he just looks at it like, no, hey, it's like it's there. When you can see those moments of like, man, hey, there's a little bit of what was given to me is, you know, that was given to me years ago has been given to him. And then we're going to pick somebody up to take him to a meeting tonight. So he's giving away still what he's got in the middle of the storm. When you see that, man, it's like you cannot save everybody.
No, and I think that you made a good point, like as far as, you know, find somebody or something. Yeah. You know, I mean, when you're in a lonely place, you think, you know, I'm alone. There's nobody here. Yeah. There are people that like are willing to help you, want to help you, and want to see you succeed. And I think as long as you kind of keep that, well, I do have control and accountability. And if you do that, I think, like I've been around a few people, when you kind of give them that courage and confidence, they grow, man. They shine, and then they can walk alone again. Yeah. But you know, it's not hopeless out there for people. But I think that like you gotta want to do it. You gotta want to live, and I think that's anybody. I mean, forget whether you're addicted to anything, whatever. You got to wake up every morning. You got to have some purpose or some discipline that makes you get up and go do it. It could be your family, it could be your job, it could be your, you know, church, whatever it is.
It's got to have something. That is told to me, and I heard it, Coach Curry, I heard it first time from him. He didn't coin it. I don't know who said it, but he said there's two pains in this world: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Yeah, you get to choose. I got enough regret. I don't want any more in my life. So I'm going to wake up and I'm going to find the joy in the pain of discipline every day.
That's awesome.
I mean,
but everybody regrets stuff. But we were talking before, we were having a conversation, guys that were here were having a conversation. And I'm like, you know, look, here's the unspoken truth about the majority of people. If you're a victim or you're always shit's bad, I'm this, you know, you're like that kind of, you know, Sally Downer, right? People don't care, and they've got issues of their own. And I think Lou Holtz said it. He said, don't tell people your problems because 80% of the people are glad you have them, and the other 20% don't give a shit.
Yeah, I can imagine. Right? Yeah, at least.
And so Lou Holtz, I thought that was a funny saying. His only point in that was, you know, look, like if you're constantly, you know,
just
spieling out stuff,
that's all you're focused on.
Yeah, and I think people get into, like, everyone gets into kind of if you start trailing down, you'll have people that first I think will really like, but when you hit that, like, you really fucked up and you're doing shit that's like absolutely, you're going to lose a few of the teammates.
You look back like, where the heck they go? They were here. They're going
to get off the bus.
Well, back in that we used to call, it's like, man, is the dope not good anymore? Like, why'd they leave? It's like, no, man, did you know what happened last night? It's like, nah. But it's interesting you said that. So, you know, if you don't complain about it, and you look at it as my dad always gives me, it's like, if I want to complain about something, he just spins it on me. It's like, you're just looking at it wrong. That's an opportunity someone would love to have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how bad it is.
Absolutely.
There's somebody There's somebody that would love to have what you think's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, when you say that, you're like, oh, you don't understand my situation. No, you don't understand someone else's situation.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's it. And that's the biggest gift I think that comes from someone. And I'm sure it's in other lives and other things, but for someone that's working a healthy recovery program where they're daily monitoring what they're doing, they're being held accountable, and it's a lifestyle change, right? Mm-hmm. But our biggest thing is being of service to someone else, to giving away what we've got. Because if I'm focused on your problem or helping your need and helping you get what it is for someone that wants it, not just trying to chase somebody.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm not really focused on myself. I'm not focused on what I don't have or what I think I need, because I'm just genuinely serving someone else and helping them. You stay full of gratitude.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard to be miserable asshole if you're full of gratitude.
Yeah, you're focused on something else or helping someone else. I mean, it's even, I think reality, not because I'm not the most disciplined person at times either, but discipline is so important in your life. Whatever that and you talk about your daily disciplines. We'll talk about that here in a second. Double D's. But I Mike Tyson was not known for his philosophical beliefs, but he did say something. They were asking him, he'd get up at like 3 a.m. and he was running, and like, well, why were you doing that? And he was like, well, because I knew that, the other people weren't. And they were like, how do you have the discipline? And he said, he goes, discipline is doing something that you hate like you love it. Like, even though he's like, I don't want to get up, but, the guy was amazing. I think discipline, regardless in whatever it is, work, fitness, religion, praying, whatever it is, you have to have some structure to that, because it's too easy to kind of get sidetracked and pulled in a million different directions.
You imagine if we just jumped and if me and you jumped in the car after this podcast, said, hey, we're heading to California. Okay, head west. Right? But not look at anything. We're just going to keep driving west till we get to water. Right? Like, we could eventually get there.
Yeah.
Right? But if we sat here before, if we sat here before and we said, okay, hey, we're heading to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Right after this, we're going to get in the car and start driving. It's pull-up ways, and you get the best direction. If you imagine what it would look like if you pulled up like 30,000-foot view of me and you just heading west.
Yeah. Right?
With no planning, no direction, not asking anybody for any help, not relying on any of all the resources that are around us.
Yeah. We'd hit at least 49 states before we got there.
It's like, we're just heading west. It's like, yes, you're heading the right direction, but you're jacked up, dude. You're going that way, but like, really? And it's amazing, man. I don't know if women are like that. I know I am as a dude, and I know a lot of dudes that are like me, that we just think, oh, we got this. Yeah. We got it. And like I said, at least in the recovery side of my life, I've got the tools in place now that hold me accountable. I still think I got everything else figured out. Yeah. So it's like, I don't need to read the instructions.
That's just a dude thing.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. So I just would, I would encourage folks to seek the resources that are around it. There's plenty of us. There's plenty of folks around you that are willing to help. And that, and the thing, it's a practice for me is just is daily calling people. Yeah. Not necessarily don't want to talk to them. It's not like these aren't long lost buddies or a best friend, but constantly calling people that just need just a check in. Yeah. And and given the time, it's not like calling them at 3 a.m. because they're not going to answer the phone. Right. So you can be like, hey, Brad, just want to let you know, man, I was just checking in on you. Hope you have a great day. That's bullshit. Right? But calling in the middle of the morning and then having the time in your calendar so when they answer, man, that you got time to take a phone call and really check in, because we truly never know what someone's going through if we don't make ourselves available. Right. And then share our experience, strength, and hope. Like what we've got going on.
It's hard for people to share it, though, too, I'm assuming. That's part of the biggest challenge.
People think you're crazy. It's like, Brad, what are you trying to sell me? Yeah. Dude, I'm not trying to sell you nothing. I was just calling to check in. How you doing? Yeah. I've got some of the best blessings and gifts, things that I needed to hear or what I need when I was trying to serve someone else. Yeah. But I ended up being the one you know, I was calling them to check on them, but man, what they said or whatever, I get off the phone, I'm like, man, I'm just gonna go kill today. Like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you never know. It's just making yourself available. We all have time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
It's just what we choose to do with it.
When someone says, "Oh, I'm a meeting," okay, you're in a meeting, right? You're running to Starbucks or doing your laundry or whatever you're doing.
We all got time.
Yeah, whatever. So
we all get the same amount of time in a day.
100%. It's whether you want to do it or take it. But I mean, I you've shared a lot with us just about. Even I appreciate your personal journey and talking about it because. I think it's taboo. I don't think it needs to be taboo. Everyone has someone touched by addiction, no matter what it is, not just alcohol, not just drugs. Addiction is addiction. And it's something that people need to be realistic about it. And it's not, it shouldn't be taboo. No. It happens to so many
real
people.
On it, man.
And, it's a stigma. And it's funny because, you'll see someone who know they have a problem. And then I know someone just as almost there. Yeah. they're almost where this person was, but I'm like, dude, you're one step from like going over the fall, and you're like, you're isolating this guy or ostracizing him. And dude, look for the similarities, not the differences.
It's my thing is I'd say as an encouragement for him is everybody knows that you're a drunk, right? They know it.
Yeah.
So when you quit drinking, it's all right if you talk about it.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's like everybody knew you were drunk.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've wrecked 4 cars, you're on your 3rd wife, you're this, you're that, whatever it might be. But it's like, oh, I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what do you mean not going to talk about it? Like, why wouldn't you want to, whose life can you save? Like, share it,
It's like I said, it's kind of, I hope that someone can instill that, the greatest comeback of all time, right?
Oh, it's
you're rock bottom, people counted you out. Give them a shit burger.
Yeah.
Bring it back and win and give everybody the reality is when you start to feel good about yourself and confident in yourself, what other people think about you. I mean, I've kind of been gifted that. I had the IDGF, that I don't give it.
Yeah.
I have that gene. I've had it my whole life, and thank God for whoever gave me that gene. So I never really struggled with like people, doing that. But reality is a lot of people struggle. Well, what are they going to think about me? Well,
that codependency,
they don't think about you now anyway, so don't worry about it.
And when they do think about you, it ain't good anyway. So don't worry about it. Like, you're not going to change their opinion, so go do you because they think you're a shitbag. Right? Like, and it's cool. That's great. I mean, I put it out there last week. It's like, I want someone on the show that thinks I'm an ass.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't like me at all.
Yeah.
I think maybe I can ask Jonathan.
I can pretend like
I know. But the thing being is because if you're really chasing after what you feel you should be
criticism,
doing, and not worried about what anyone else is saying, everybody's not going to like you, man. I don't want someone to think I'm doing it out of selfish gain or anything like that. So if there's something there I need to clear up, but if you just don't like the confidence that I have in today, that today's going to be an epic day, and I'm going to do some epic shit. And at the same point in time, I'm going to serve and help some people. Man, I don't really care. It's not that I'm mad at you or anything. I just don't really care. It's just not. It's not there.
The gnats will always be in the room.
Oh yeah.
The gnats are always there.
Yeah.
So.
But you don't have to be hopeless.
No.
There is a way out. But
just to close and get just kind of for people out there, families are listening. We know that it's just as hard on them, and a lot of people.
Sorry
talk
that
about
Brad was cussing so much.
Yeah, I shouldn't fucking cuss, but reality of it is, for people out there that that want to change, they're ready to like, hey, look, I got to change. I got to change for me. I got to change for whatever, God, my family, like. Give them a couple steps to do, and just
I mean, the biggest thing is there is an international network of support.
Yep.
Right. So to say, oh, I don't know anyone, or I mean, from cruise ships to vacation resorts, there's 12-step support.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, anything that you do. But at the end of the day, where I always start with someone, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm done." It's okay. Well. I mean, but are you really done? Like, because I'm not going to think you're a bad person. You want to keep using dope or drinking, like, that's okay. We may not hang out, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. So are you quitting and you want to quit? Are you tired and sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Yeah.
For you, not for someone else. And if it's for you and you're ready, then okay, hey, that's a really good start. Now, from seeing if there's any clinical or emotional needs that need met and met for stabilization, right? Not to downplay what it is. It's serious. You know, there's a lot of this you don't want to try to do. You don't just lock yourself in a house and try to detox yourself. That's not a healthy way out. It could be fatal, right? So, I mean, there is plenty of solution out there in your just about any market. And if they're living somewhere and seeing this and they're like, no, there's no detox facilities or 12-step support here or any faith partners in this market, man, put my name and my phone number in this email and you can call me any time of the day. And I'll make sure we can help find you somewhere and wherever you are. And if there's no one there, we'll send somebody there or I'll go there. So there's a way out and it's free, right? Like the solution is free, but you have to be willing. And until that point, you're hopeless. You feel like there's no way, there's like you're paralyzed and there's no way out. It'd just be better just to kill myself. That is a shitty solution. That's not a solution that's got any value in it. You're ending your life. There's nothing you're going through that's worth that. So pick up the phone and call somebody, right? And if you don't have that person, call me. Call us so we can get someone in front of you so that we can help you get to that next step. I mean, the first step, I'm powerless to it. That's hard for some people to admit by themselves, though. If they're sitting there watching this alone in a house, drinking themselves to death, then they're not maybe at that point where they want to admit that they're powerless, but they know that they're dying and they're tired of dying and like, dude, I just want out. So if they're there, you got to be willing to let someone know the pain you're in, because man, there's people around you that love you and want you, and you are perfectly made in the image of God, and there's something for you. That's just that's waiting there for you, but you gotta quit destroying yourself.
I was gonna say that as a closing is like, you may not feel like it right now. You may have damaged a lot of relationships, but there's someone out there that went through a similar situation or cares about you, where you can build a relationship, build that foundation back up, and be what you want to do. And we all think we're alone. And first of all, if you don't believe in God, fine. Maybe, go ahead and, if you think we came from whale sperm or whatever, good for you. I don't believe that. But reality of it is, pray, reach out. You'll find that it does amazing things. You may sometimes get an answer you don't want if you pray.
That's a whole nother. Talking about prayer as episode next to with only 2 F-bombs and 3 shits and 2 dams in it. But on a serious note with that though is that the submission of vulnerability, of just surrender. There's a difference between surrender and giving up. Surrendering to the fact that I'm powerless, that I can't do this by myself, is not giving up on life. Giving up on life is still thinking, I got this all by myself. I don't need anybody. It's like, dude, that's insanity. It's like, no, it's like, man, just the hands open, just like, okay, like, man, I don't know what I need to do, but I can't do this by myself anymore. And if we can get someone to that position, and you can just about approach anybody at that point in time with that genuine, man, I'm at the end of my rope and I need help here. Like, I mean, they feel that genuity of, I'm done. I'm lost. I'm broke. I may be all these things, but I know I can't do this by myself, Well, I always we've been doing a lot with kids in college and sports and all that. And someone was talking about, coaching and whatever. And I said, in life, you're sometimes a player, sometimes a spectator, and sometimes the coach, right? And depending where you're at in your process, you may be watching, you may be playing, you may be giving advice, right? We all have those 3 kind of entities in us. And the reality of it is you have more credibility if I'm going through some kind of addiction and you've done it and you're fighting it and winning, than someone that maybe doesn't, and they're just saying, "Oh, I read a Dr. Spock," or I read an article. I'm gonna follow
I
them
saw
right
it on
to
this thing called Google. I did it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But shut up. Just take a second step. But I really appreciate you joining us today. I mean, I think it's an important subject. It's been sitting on my heart and my soul for a while, just to kind of just talk about it, bring it out. Because it's real and it's horrific, and it affects not just the individual who's addicted.
It's everybody around them. It sucks, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, it sucks.
Yeah.
So, but they don't have to live in it. So put it down there. But they can call me anytime.
So Vision Warriors, is it just visionwarriors.com? If someone's
visionwarriors.org.
.org. That's right.
Yeah,
It's
visionwarriors.org.
So if you go out there, if you're looking for help, want to learn more, I mean, I went through your site. You guys have some good stuff. But as Kirk said, there's plenty of things to get help. You just got to kind of make that step and want to take that leap. So we encourage you to do it. But we really appreciate you listening to us today. We've had Kirk Driskell, Vision Warriors. Also, I wanted to mention, because Kirk does a podcast called Cattywampus, and it's awesome. And some of it had started around recovery, and then now you've got other guests on. It's first class. So check out Cattywampus. It's on YouTube. I think you guys have Spotify, all those things. So we like to partner and share our success. And Kirk's been good to us. So Salty Nation, that's all we got today. Let's go.